People in the music and entertainment industry had to know that Diddy was like abusing kids, basically, and yet they still fed him kids. Where's the accountability?
There had to be rumors.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. He may feel a different way about it, but he knows the truth.
What's happening to him now is one of the greatest tragedies that we're going to ever read about, bro.
Elon Musk and 50 Cent just set off a shockwave, something nobody saw coming. A hard-hitting truth bomb that's rattling the entire entertainment landscape. But here's the part that has everyone whispering, what if Diddy isn't the real puppet master? What if he's the decoy? If the world has been staring at him as the top, then it's possible the real power has been moving untouched this entire time. And according to sources, Elon isn't just talking big. He's allegedly holding cold, verifiable receipts. We're talking years' worth of archived material, private DMs, and behind-the-scenes details from the Twitter era, now called X. This isn't messy rumor chatter. This is the kind of evidence that could rewrite the entire narrative overnight. Some observers are charting it like a power pyramid. At the base, Jay-Z and Beyoncé, mid-level. Major gatekeepers like Oprah and Clive Davis. And above them all, one concealed name. Allegedly, the thread tying everything together. And this doesn't stop at studios or corporate offices. The reach extends into image, power, and even the church scene. 50 Cent has been teasing that angle for months, and now the pieces are starting to line up. What comes next is going to be intense.
I believe that they gave me a raw deal because this fucking industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too bitches was trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it fucks. And I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster. When I quit the show, all my friends would say, well, fuck them, Dave. Why don't you just do Chappelle's show at another network? Yeah. And why doesn't a slave run from one plantation to another plantation? Because the master over there might be nicer. My God, man, I was trapped. You know what, to tell you the truth? I've even thought about coming back.
Before we go any further down this rabbit hole, lock this in first. The Diddy situation isn't confined to hip-hop. This stopped being just music a long time ago. It's about influence, who holds it, who protects it, and who benefits from it across the entire entertainment world. 50 Cent came out swinging with his explosive documentary The Reckoning, presenting it in a way most others wouldn't dare. The core message landed like a punch. When the room stays quiet, the whole culture looks complicit. So he refused to stay silent and put the spotlight where others wouldn't. But the tone shifts darker because one major claim keeps resurfacing. Diddy allegedly had hidden cameras installed throughout his home. Not a handful, hundreds. And those cameras reportedly captured whatever unfolded during private after-hours parties. According to those close to the situation, it wasn't about entertainment. It was about control. Commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have sketched an alarming picture. They argue the footage functioned like leverage, insurance strong enough to keep powerful figures obedient without Diddy needing to issue direct threats. And now, the word on the street is that those tapes are quietly being moved, setting off panic among major names who fear they're on them. So where does Elon Musk fit into all this? This is where the narrative turns. Elon owns X, a platform that holds years of private DMs and conversations involving some of the most powerful figures on Earth, from celebrities to politicians. When Elon spoke with Joe Rogan, it wasn't vague hinting. He directly highlighted the enormous gap between what gets said online and what gets said behind closed doors. The pressure is rising.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt he knows.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
Elon Musk brought up Jennifer Lopez, but not to trigger some political argument. He used her as a credibility test. He essentially challenged the room. If someone was that close to Diddy back then, why didn't we hear alarms? Where was the warning when things began feeling off? And that question landed hard because the answer was uncomfortable. There wasn't one. That moment lit up the internet because it forced a question nobody wanted to touch. If a person sat inside the circle and never spoke up, what does that suggest? Either they truly didn't know, which many observers struggled to accept, or they knew something and stayed quiet. And if they stayed quiet, the next question burns even hotter. What was the reason? Fear, loyalty, image protection? Or were they shielding someone else, someone positioned even higher up the ladder? Because this is where the so-called pyramid begins. Level 1 starts with Jay-Z and Beyoncé. And believe it, this is only the opening layer. The story goes much deeper than that.
That Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter. They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane. But everyone knows what's going on, and it's been going on for years. It's been going on before Diddy. See, people keep looking at him like he's the Sputnik that came out of nowhere. This is someone who was designed to be what he is. And if we're going to do that, then we got to go back. We got to go back to even further the mentors of these people. Because Diddy was taught how to do what he does systematically, and Clyde Davis has been his greatest teacher.
Jaguar Wright sat down with Piers Morgan and made claims that many insist she was never meant to say out loud. She spoke about Jay-Z Diddy and how deep their alleged ties run. And then something happened that set off alarms across the internet. Viewers noticed the full episode vanished almost immediately, scrubbed, buried, and nearly impossible to track down. That disappearance only made the suspicion grow, like someone wanted those words erased from circulation. In that interview, Jaguar raised a question that's been hovering for years. How does Jay-Z appear with Gayle King on national TV and still avoid questions about certain long-standing rumors or industry connections? Jaguar didn't soften her language. She used strong words, calling both Diddy and Jay-Z monsters, claiming their influence has been crushing the industry for decades. Then came the moment that stunned audiences most, the Aaliyah theory. Jaguar escalated it further than most ever dared, claiming Jay-Z somehow had a connection to Aaliyah's tragic flight, saying it was personal and tied to who might have benefited afterward. Now, let's be clear. None of this has ever been proven. But it keeps returning because Jay-Z has never publicly addressed those whispers. And in the digital age, silence doesn't read as neutral. It reads as a decision. Audiences kept asking the blunt question, why would Jay-Z's high-profile attorney suddenly be involved in Diddy's mess? Was it coincidence, connection, or something bigger unfolding behind closed doors? The timing made watchers suspicious, and the internet immediately began digging for explanations. Something about that link just didn't sit right.
Footage that was captured inside of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016 allegedly shows Combs assaulting then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway. A now-settled lawsuit filed by Ventura claimed that she was trying to leave the hotel after a drunken Combs punched her. The video appears to show Combs chasing her down the hall, throwing her to the ground, and then repeatedly kicking her.
The theory circulating is simple and dangerous. Shape the narrative before additional names get pulled into the spotlight. Because if Diddy ever decides to talk, insiders claim a whole row of powerful figures could fall right alongside him. And that's why the conversation keeps snapping back to Jay-Z's rise. Because you can't revisit that era without bringing up Big L. Big L was one of the key figures who helped open doors for Jay early on, connecting him with Dame Dash and setting up big negotiations that could have changed the game for everyone involved. But then, just days after those talks reportedly began, tragedy hit. Big L was killed in a Harlem drive-by. The case remains unsolved to this day. Jaguar Wright and others have suggested Big L's death may not have been random violence. They claim it marked the first piece of a strange pattern, sudden, mysterious endings that appear to clear space for certain figures to rise. Coincidence? Maybe. But when observers line up the timeline, they argue the pattern feels too unsettling to shrug off. Then we move to level 2, where the story stops being about fame and becomes about leverage. At this tier sit names like Oprah Winfrey and Clive Davis. Critics have long pointed to Oprah's close proximity to Harvey Weinstein, the photos, the events, the public support, while serious whispers about him were already circulating. That's where the debate ignites. Many argue that someone with Oprah's reach could have amplified the issue long before it exploded, but she didn't. And in these circles, silence often gets interpreted as protection. Then there's the controversy tied to the girls' school she funded in South Africa. Early allegations, staff fired, public statements issued, yet critics still argue parts of the story never quite aligned. That's why it keeps resurfacing in discussions about oversight, influence, and what the most powerful figures choose not to notice. When old photos, long-buried rumors about Oprah resurfaced, more observers began framing her as quiet power, the kind that doesn't need headlines or viral moments. They claim one call from her can decide who gets booked, who gets sidelined, and who suddenly gets labeled difficult. That's behind-the-scenes force, silent but strong. Then comes Clive Davis, a certified music legend. As the longtime head of Arista Records, he shaped the sound of entire generations, launching the careers of some of the biggest names in music history. That's precisely why nobody treats him like background noise. His shadow across the industry is enormous. But here's where the narrative turns messy. Suge Knight has claimed for years that Clive Davis and Diddy weren't simply mentor and protege. He alleged their bond ran far deeper than business. There's no public proof of that, but the claim refuses to disappear because it slides neatly into this larger story of hidden influence and loyalty that feels too convenient to ignore. And whenever reporters try pressing Clive about Diddy, observers point to those tense interviews, the awkward body language, the uneasy moments, the quick pivots away from the topic. Again, not solid proof, but enough for the internet to seize on and replay endlessly like a silent confession.
A lot of people are curious about the status of P. Diddy.
Status of what?
P. Diddy. Diddy.
Like puppy. The status of puppy.
All right. No comment from Clive Davis on P. Diddy. Mr. Davis, you're a major influence on the career of P. Diddy. Have you spoken to him since the federal raid? Have you spoken to Sean Combs? Any comment, Mr. Davis?
And then there's the Whitney Houston angle, one storyline the public won't let evaporate. The debate keeps circling her final days, who was around her, and what may have been happening behind the curtains. Many argue the official version leaves gaps too big to ignore. Over time, remarks from Whitney's own family have only intensified that suspicion, and online discussions always loop back to one bold question. How has Clive Davis carried decades of heavy rumors without facing real consequences? That's where the fall guy theory gains traction. Many believe Diddy is being positioned as the face of the chaos, the lightning rod, while the real power players, the true gatekeepers, remain insulated in the shadows, protected by layers of influence that headlines can't crack. And now we reach the top of the so-called pyramid, the level that shocks audiences most. The name Bishop T.D. Jake Jakes, yes, a pastor, a spiritual leader, a figure widely viewed as moral. Yet 50 Cent has been keeping that name hovering for months, threading it into this tangled story web. The theory goes like this. If influence reaches into the pulpit, then this stops being celebrity drama and becomes something systemic. The idea is that Diddy needed legitimacy, someone with a clean, respected reputation beside him to make him look untouchable. Some believe TD Jake was that cover, credibility positioned precisely where Diddy needed it. Observers also noticed how TD Jake was featured in the Reckoning documentary rollout, not randomly, but strategically. Certain clips appeared at specific points, almost like signals. In one segment, when Lil Rod talked about waking up sore after being around Diddy's party circle, viewers noticed that right after a clip of TD Jake appeared, calmly speaking about love and energy. Many online believe that placement wasn't accidental editing. They think 50 Cent was communicating a coded message through those cuts. Then comedian Cat Williams' words resurfaced and ignited everything again. He said 2024 would be the year when everything gets exposed no matter who's involved, and the internet treated it like prophecy. From the studios to the pulpit, observers are bracing for whatever comes next.
Check this out, bro. He led Biggs to his death. He caused a rift between Wolf and BMF that led to Wolf death. Cussed Wolf mother out. Lied about owing him $300,000. Cause you had asked me how I feel, and I'm gonna get into how I feel. Some people, their karma is so strong for what they do and what they did. The stuff that he did to Craig Mack, the stuff that he did to Black Rob, and all those people in the spiritual world right now. His karma was bound to catch up with him, brother.
When Bishop TD Jake Jakes was finally confronted about the Diddy allegations, his response sent the internet into a full-blown frenzy. Instead of giving a firm denial or clearing the air, he simply said, "Keep it moving." But what truly escalated the reaction was what followed, words many listeners interpreted as a shocking cell phone. He suggested that even if something like that were true, repentance can cover sins. Then he added that he didn't even need to repent for this. That line hit like a spark in dry grass and spread instantly. To the public, it didn't sound like certainty or innocence. It came off like a dodge. The backlash was immediate. Watchers replayed the clip repeatedly, trying to figure out what he actually meant. Jaguar Wright didn't wait to add fuel. She claimed that if Bishop Jake was ever around Diddy's party circles, it could only be for two reasons: money or access. She described those secret gatherings as leverage zones, places where influence gets manufactured and then used against others. And in her view, there's allegedly video and audio floating around, recordings that capture powerful figures doing things they never wanted, tied to their names.
This is what happens to the white man. It's so unfortunate. You gotta pull back though, so they can see. That's crazy. Matt, move out the way. You're still alive. Look at that. Look, what you got the drink on his head. And that's James from Simeon Mobile Disco. He is an actual DJs aren't supposed to pass out, but when they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream.
Shout out to Diddy, Happy New Year. You know what it is, DJ Khaled, it's all about victory. I'm going in. You better believe it. Shout out to Def Jam, we the best. You know what it is. It's 2010, baby. It's the takeover. I'm going in.
Do any of these claims hold up? That's still unclear. But once the public believes receipts or footage might exist, the fear transforms into something else. At that point, it isn't only rumor, it's the possibility that real recordings are out there, waiting to surface. Jaguar Wright didn't stop with hints. She went further, saying multiple men have allegedly come forward with stories that, In their view, connect Bishop T.D. Jake Jakes to that hidden world orbiting Diddy. No proof has been released, but the claims keep multiplying online, boosted by whispers that legal teams are quietly making moves behind the scenes. And audiences keep watching because it matches the same pattern they've been calling out for months: power shields power until it can't. Then former bodyguard Gene Deal offered his own perspective, and it landed heavy. He asked why a respected religious leader would even be present anywhere near parties insiders describe as anything but clean. Gann said it's hard to explain that kind of proximity unless someone is either endorsing that environment or directly part of it. And here's the biggest twist. He hinted he's heard whispers of tapes, recordings that might eventually appear. If that day comes, he said, the conversation won't be about speculation anymore. It'll be about proof.
What people don't understand about Puff is this. He held the entertainment grip, especially for the people who was his former artists, in a chokehold. If you didn't do what he say do, if he didn't like you, you would never ever work for Bad Boy or anybody in the entertainment business again. He did it to Kirk Burroughs. You understand? He did it to Wendy Williams. He did it to a lot of people, bro.
That's the storm cloud hanging over everything right now. Not opinions, not gossip. Proof, the kind that could tilt the entire power balance overnight. And when you step back, it's clear this doesn't end with music or Hollywood. It stretches across industries, politics, tech, and beyond. When Elon Musk sat down with Joe Rogan, their discussion wasn't a casual celebrity chat. It was an examination of how power networks operate. They were asking the uncomfortable questions. Why do certain high-level names move the way they do? Why do some figures appear untouchable? Elon didn't focus on policy or business strategy. He narrowed it to one driving emotion: fear. Fear of exposure. Fear of what happens when the wrong doors open and hidden secrets spill into daylight. During that conversation, Rogan brought up Reid Hoffman and asked if he seemed uneasy. Elon's answer was one word: yes. From there, they compared the structure of elite circles to something like an Epstein-style compromise system, where once someone is caught in a compromising moment, you don't need arguments or threats anymore. You own them. That's control at the highest level. And under this theory, that's the foundation of the entire pyramid. It isn't fame. It isn't talent. It's control. And once you see it through that lens, pieces start locking into place. Why certain voices never speak up. Why some stories vanish overnight. And why a few powerful names stay protected no matter how loud the noise gets. Comedian Dave Chappelle once phrased it differently, but the meaning hit the same nerve. He described the entertainment world like a trap, not just a bad contract, but a control system. When audiences asked why he didn't just take his show elsewhere, he gave a chilling answer. It'd be like running from one plantation to another. Different master, same chains. So if someone as successful as Chappelle felt boxed in by that kind of machine, what does that say about everyone else just trying to survive inside it? So after hearing all this, from Diddy's alleged secrets to Elon's data drops, to a power web stretching from studios to pulpit, what do you think is actually happening here? Is this just a string of coincidences, or are we finally watching cracks form in something far bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you believe.